Hey guys, we're at McKinney Falls, just south of Austin, Texas. Beautiful location to test out these new Rad Power fat tire bikes. This is the original. This is the RadRover in high step. And now they offer it in step through. You can see it just over there in white. Really neat to have that. It's a more approachable frame, but a little bit less stiff. This is really higher performance, right? And I like how they've curved that top tube. So this still has a relatively low standover height, kind of as low as they could get. Pretty nice battery position, low and centered on the frame. A little bit more forward, so better weight distribution compared to that kind of seat tube mounted design that they've got on the step through. And then this is the Rad Mini high step, and they have a step through version of that too. So they've really just gone all out with these fat tire bikes. This thing weighs about 69 pounds. It's nice to have that weight distributed well. 7.7 pounds on the battery, removable, which is very nice. So if you're commuting to work or something, you take that into the office, plug it in. Or if it's really hot, we are in Austin, it can get pretty hot in the garage. That's hard on those lithium-ion cells, so that's a good option. Something that's, you know, also interchangeable. I should really highlight that. I mean, isn't it nice? They use the same battery pack for the step through, for the Rad Mini, for their city bikes, and it's a bit more affordable because they've separated the motor controller. You can see that right here. So in some ways it's a bit unsightly, especially on the white frames. On the black, all the wires and stuff blend in, and you can see there is a lot of wire clutter up here. That's because we've got the display, the button pad, the brake levers, the shifter, and motor inhibitors on both of those brake levers, which activate the rear light. There's like a brake light, which is nice. It goes bright, and that helps you be a little bit more visible. This is not stock, by the way, this awesome orange rack. I love how it ties in. It's bright and colorful. 80 bucks for this. They've got an optional front rack, and that's like 70 bucks. It mounts to the frame. So I was talking about strength earlier with this slightly taller tubing. It's a little bit more rigid, kind of flares out back here. So having a rack that isn't going to impact steering, it's not going to tip when you park the bike. Those are all things that you kind of learn with experience over time when you're owning and using a bike a lot. So I like the way they've done that. And you can see they've got this new badge up here. This is the 5th generation of these bikes. You can see that right down here. Gen 5, and that's awesome. I mean, these guys have been doing a great job for many years, and I feel like they're always just like dialing it in with the details. It comes with these plastic fenders now, which is wonderful, especially if you're gonna ride through some puddles and stuff like we might do later, or it becomes a rainy day or something. And this looks like a mountain bike, and it's really like very trail capable. I've actually ridden it off-road in soft sand when I was in Mexico a number of years ago. You just have to lower the tire pressure to have that work. But in a lot of ways, they've set this up to be more like a comfort SUV. So you can see how it has a very short stem. It's a little bit higher up here with these spacers, and then we've got a mid-rise bar. So that all means that you're going to be more upright and relaxed. Your back and your neck aren't going to be getting banged up quite as much from that like really forward body position, which, you know, it's great for aerodynamics or, you know, climbing and stuff. But a bike like this, it's more of a gravel bike or something, this is a perfect setup for that. And I'm glad that they've paid attention to those little details. We've got these stitched ergonomic grips. They match the Velo Plush Saddle, which has a handle built into the back so you can lift this thing up. They've got an optional suspension seat post that you can get, which is really nice. 27.2 millimeters on that seat post diameter. And that'll give you a full suspension feel when you combine it with this fat bike specific spring suspension fork. So this has progressive compression adjust. Got a number of clicks there, so you can tighten it up, and that's a good idea if you're someone who wants to really maximize your range. You raise your tire pressure, tighten out that suspension so you're not losing any energy to bobbing. But then we also have preload adjust. So maybe you want the comfort, but you're a heavier rider, you got that front rack, preload the spring so you're not losing the travel down here. This is 100 millimeters of travel. Again, fat bike specific, 135 millimeter hub spacing, nice thick 12 gauge spokes, front and rear. No quick release in the rear, but you can see they're using this nice steel torque arm because this is a 750 watt planetary geared hub motor. I think it's probably a Bafang product. Very, very capable, 80 Newton meters of torque. A little bit better climbing ability on the Rad Minis because their wheel size is smaller, but this is still very capable, especially if you pitch in and you pedal along a little bit. Great kickstand placement back there, nice big pedals. A lot of surface area, very grippy. And then if we look at kind of this other side, See that disc in there? It's a plastic disc with magnets on it, 12 magnets, and it's very responsive. I've been pretty impressed. They've really dialed in the motor controller so that the motor ramps up smoothly. It does make some noise at those higher levels, but I guess that's kind of what you get with hub motors that are powerful, but it starts and stops very quickly, and you do have the motor inhibitor override on the brake lever. So I really feel like they've done a good job. Check out this aluminum alloy guide. It's going to keep that chain from bouncing off track. It's also going to act as kind of a bash guard. So if you're going over a big log or something, it's going to hit right here. It's not going to hit where these cables are and hang you up. So I really appreciate that. It also, another feature is that it keeps your pants from getting all greasy and dirty. I've been riding all day actually, and these are light colored pants, and because of that guard, I'm not getting greasy. So excellent choice on that. And then back here, great drivetrain, Shimano Acera, 3 steps up from the base in Shimano group set. It doesn't have a one-way clutch or some of these other really fancy features, but it is a little bit lighter and probably more reliable than like Shimano Tourney or Altus. Got a barrel adjuster here, so over time as the cable housing settles, you can stretch it back out a little bit and kind of keep this thing running and true. Rad Power Bikes does have a 1-year comprehensive warranty, and they're having more and more of these mobile bike stations that set up to get the bikes built just right and then cover anything that would fall under warranty. So they've done a good job with this. This is an 11 to 34 tooth DNP nickel-plated freewheel. So this is pretty special actually. There are a number of
Rainbow colored hair.
Woohoo! Rainbow colored hair. I can see how this bike would inspire that because it's a colorful one. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, so, you know, for me, seeing a freewheel is like, it's a step down from a cassette. However, you're getting one of the nicest ones that's out there. 7 speeds, 11 to 34. The 34 tooth is that really big cog, and that makes it easier to start and climb. Good mechanical advantage. But you're not starting at 14 tooth. They start at 11, so it's really nice. This is impressive. You don't see this on most of the other affordable e-bike drivetrains. So again, $14.99 for this bike. They've kept the price the same all these years, and now they include fenders. So I mean, gosh, what's not to like about that? I'm definitely genuinely impressed. That's the drivetrain. I do want to maybe gripe a little bit about the shifter mechanism up here. It's pretty big and requires a little bit of reaching, right? Especially this part up here. It's kind of a paddle shifter. I think they chose that because when you have a twist throttle, see, there it is. They've got this little exposed plastic piece here that makes it so that trigger shifters just wouldn't fit as well. And plus, this works pretty well if you've got gloves on when you're riding around, maybe in the snow or something. So again, pretty thoughtfully done. I've spent a lot of time over the years kind of picking their brains and saying, like, why did you choose this? Why not that? And, you know, in some cases, they've responded and actually improved the product. In other cases, they've had a meaningful reason, like bottle cage bosses. Check this out. They actually include them. They're kind of hidden. I don't know if that's a perfect place. It'd be a lot easier to reach down and get your bottle right here, but that's where they put the battery. And remember, that's going to shift weight forward and give you the best handling performance. On these other models, they've got the bottle cage bosses up here on that main tube. And then the high step of the Mini, it just doesn't have any bottle cage bosses at all. So you gotta pay a little extra for the rack, get some bags. Rad does have a whole lot of accessories, like, you know, there's like a cooler bag, there's panniers, there's a rack, there's a bigger rack, a kind of a platform situation. They even sell the child seat back here so you could bring your kids along on the ride. And in that case, again, nice that you have these pretty stable, safe, and also, you know, somewhat comfortable fat tires. So it's, again, I view these as like SUVs. Yeah, they can handle off-road riding, but their chain's going to be bouncing around a little bit. The suspension fork is fairly heavy because it's not an air fork. But for what it is, it's great. It has a lot of adjustability. And check this out. They've even got a co-branded light now. It says Rad Power, and it's got this extra ring and this aluminum alloy heat fins on top to dissipate the heat. Very cool. Like, that's not something you see every day. I just think they're doing a great job. These guys have really scrutinized the details, and I always have a lot of fun looking at them. And this is, you know, this is my genuine feeling about the company. I think they're getting more and more people onto electric bikes, and they're offering a product that's fairly modular, like with the batteries and stuff, that isn't changing so much every year that you become completely irrelevant 1 year out. That they use the same pack for all their models, even in Europe. So, you know, we got a little 4 LED charge level indicator right there. This nice kind of, you know, semi-aerodynamic shape. It slides on like this, it mounts and then slides down. And depending on which frame we're talking about, like if it's the Rad Minis, you might have to raise the seat and turn it or take it off. So getting the battery on and off on some models is a little easier, like the RadRover. On others, takes a little bit more time. Here's the charging port on the right hand side. It's got a little rubber cover that's fairly easy to use. Sometimes those aren't so easy to use on other bikes. They don't seat very well. Oh yeah, you know, 48 volt, 14 amp hours, 672 watt hours. These weigh about, you know, 7.6, 7.7 pounds. They do have 2 fuses right there, which is nice. I don't have an IP rating, ingress protection rating, but they say they're highly water resistant, just like the motor and the display. So they say you can ride these bikes around in rain and in wet conditions. You're definitely not supposed to submerge them or anything, but it's nice that they warranty them for that 1-year comprehensive, and that the battery pack replacements are a little more affordable because the controller unit is separate. And then another unique quality about these batteries is that the locking mechanism has 3 different slots. So right now you could slide it onto the bike because that pin is not protruding, and then once it's on, you can kind of push and turn and it'll lock to the frame, and you can remove the key, and in this mode it's off, so no one can tamper with your display, which is kind of cool. No one's going to be able to use the throttle or anything. And then you take it to that next step, right? Still locked, and now take the key out, the bike will work. So it's really cool for people who don't want to take this off their bike but don't want people tampering. You can kind of lock it and turn the bike off. I think that's really nice, and there are a lot of other bikes that don't do that, so good job, Rad. And I wanted to highlight that the bikes do come with a little tool pouch, a bunch of kind of basic tools, and then this is what the charger looks like. It's just a 2 amp charger, so you know it's going to take 6 hours if your battery's all the way empty, but it only weighs 1.5 pounds, which is nice. And having a removable battery for all their bikes is really a nice feature, because it means you could commute with the bike and park the bike outside, bring the battery inside where there's a charging port. Also, you want to avoid extreme heat, because these lithium-ion cells, while they are higher quality, I think they're Samsung cells, the heat just degrades them and you won't get as many full charge cycles. So that's my advice to you guys. But again, having the controller separately means that replacement batteries are a little bit cheaper, and now they've been using this design for a couple years, so it feels like they're kind of committed to it, and there's a bigger pool of used packs out there. So yeah, I think we should just get out on this thing, go for a ride. I want to reiterate that with that high step frame, this is the stiffest, kind of the toughest RadRover. It's really nice that they've got the new step through model there, and of course they've got the Rad Mini step through, which is also a great option if you're someone who just, you know, you got the hip or knee sensitivity, or you're just a shorter person. But the saddle height, the minimum saddle height, is actually very similar on these. So you know, you got the panniers or child seat or the insulated thing, you know, the tray. There's so many options. Having a frame that's a little bit stiffer, especially given that a lot of the weight is back here with the motor and the fenders now, you know, the high step is really a great option still. I really like this bike. So yeah, I'm just going to boot up the display, hold the mode button here. Yeah, it's 2.75 inches across. It's backlit. It does swivel. It is not removable, but I love that they've got this full-size USB charging port on the bottom still. It's great for that phone mount accessory that they offer. And it's nice that this is pretty well protected with these mid-rise bars, so it's not going to get bumped or damaged at racks as easily. 5 ticks on the battery infographic there. It'd be nice if it was 10 or if it was a battery percentage, because these are 20% steps. So it's, you know, when you're on that last bar, you kind of wonder, how far can I go? But the odometer over here, and if I tap that mode button, we go from odometer to trip meter. That's kind of neat. Current speed in the middle in miles per hour. If you hold the up arrow for a couple seconds, it goes to average speed, and then max speed. So there's a lot to this display. Pedal assist level starts in 1, but you can take it to 0 if you want. The throttle still works. It gives you full power up to 20 miles per hour. So that's nice. You can ride this like a scooter if you want to. And then 5 levels of assist right there, and then watts. So that's how hard the motor is working. I'm going to start off in pedal assist level 1. I'm really impressed with how smooth and subtle it is. It doesn't overwhelm you, and it doesn't go too fast. A lot of times these pedal assist levels kind of get out of control, even the lower ones, so it's nice that this one's so smooth. Really smooth. I'm going to climb this hill in just a second, and I'm going to take this up to probably assist level 5 to do that, to get the power I need. and I'm not in a low enough gear, so I'm going to use that throttle, twist it, there we go, really handy. Not too bad, not too bad. And then, you know, we're here in a parking lot, smoother. You can still hear the tires kind of zipping along on the ground. Got the pretty stable, maybe the no hand shot here because of the wider tires too. This is really a go anywhere e-bike, and I think that's why it's one of the most popular models that Rad sells. Take a little detour here on this dirt road. This is where I really see the RadRover being used the most and really shining. I can hear the motor zipping a little bit, but just a second ago I actually saw a deer run across the path over here, which is really amazing. Really neat to see some wildlife, because I think e-bikes, they're just quieter than internal combustion engines. So the point being, if you're someone who likes wildlife, you know, this is better for the environment, but it's also a lot quieter. And now I want to show you these lights. So that's another really cool feature. You can see the display right here. If I hold up and mode for a couple seconds, see it's got some backlighting, so that's nice. And then the headlight, got this really focused beam as well as that ring, and now it's more visible from the side as well. So it's a really nice safety feature that complements those reflective tires. Here's the rear light. It's got this flashing mode that's really cool. There's a rubberized button on the bottom. There we go. And then the brake levers. In addition to having motor inhibitors, they activate that brake light as well. Just another way to be seen. It's a little bit blocked from the side now with this rack, but the rack does physically protect the light pretty well if the bike tipped over. So, you know, there's always little trade-offs and stuff, but not bad overall. Really good setup. I do want to point out that, see right now, that headlight points where I'm steering, but if you got the rack, it would collide with the light. So they have a mount that seats it out here, and then it does not turn because these racks are frame mounted. So keep that in mind. The frame mounted racks, they're sturdier. It's a really good setup that way. Okay guys, we've got a 42 tooth steel chain ring down there sandwiched in between two aluminum alloy guide plates. It's really nice for keeping your pants clean, and it acts as a bash guard. Back here we've got 11 to 34 tooth. This is that nickel coated DNP Freewheel. Just awesome. It's great to have that kind of gear range on a Freewheel. Of course, we've got a Serra that's a pretty good derailleur, really well protected by that guard. And then the slap guard down here. I'm going to start off in pedal assist level 2 because I like how quiet and subtle it is, but then I'll take it up to level 5 so you can get the full power of the motor. And watch how quickly it responds when I start and stop pedaling. Just awesome, and I love the ability to override at any time with the throttle. Now this, I'm going to take it all the way to that 11 tooth sprocket, so my cadence slowed way down. Highest level of assist. Hit that 20 mile per hour top speed. There it is. Very nice. Cut out just before 20. This is a pretty nice cruising speed right here. Well, that was just a blast. It's been fun riding around McKinney Falls with you guys. Appreciate you hanging out. That's everything for the new RadRover. For the full written review, I'll see y'all back at ElectricBikeReview.com, where I've got this bike, all the specs, everything measured by hand, as well as some of the other models. And there's a really cool comparison tool, so you can compare them back to back and kind of suss out the differences. Really neat to see the new fenders, the upgraded light. That heat sink thing is pretty neat. Yeah, I hope it helps you. Ride safe out there. Love ya. We'll see you next time.